going on with the water running or something.
Yeah, I think it's Mary.
Mary, can you turn that down a little more, please? I think it's Mary.
Oh,
Hold on.
and
I'll tell
maybe
you
it's
this.
my fish tank.
Oh,
There it is.
That's a
there
lot
you
better.
go. There you go.
It's
Hey,
right there, though.
we are live. So,
Hello.
this is not episode, whatever you want to call it, of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am here tonight as part of the panel of the IFC MidKnights, which I believe was started by Patrick. He was kind enough to invite me on here. And once a month, someone on the panel selects an IFC Midnight film, and we'll sit down and kind of hash it out together. Now, tonight, as part of the panel, we have Patrick, the original IFC Midnight, holding up his copy of the physical media. We've got Mary Wilson here, who's always here and always gives us some good insights. And we've got someone who's challenged with beverages here. We've got Ben from Cadaver Club, who's I think preparing to do a whole bunch of caffeine and then ramble for about 75 minutes on his one insight into the film. So we've got that to look forward to as well. So very cool. This was my selection this month, and last month it was supposed to happen, but then I got a work scheduling snafu, and then my work schedule snapped back, and I contacted Patrick, and he said that it hadn't happened. So it was still possible for me to take the selection and possible for me to host it. So here we are. And my selection for it for this week, this month, is Werewolves Within. Patrick, can you show up the physical media once again? Okay, and it unlike a lot, Mary's got some art there. Yeah, okay, that's cool too. Very nice, very nice. And unlike the usual IFC Midnight thing, which they can be a little rough, I think we covered the Nightingale. And we did well. I was part of another panel that did Saint Maud, and we had done some pretty bleak films. This is a lot lighter.
Yeah.
So it's a fun one. It's got a lot of laughs in it. And if you guys are ready to go, we'll get it going. Shall we go?
Let's go.
All right, boogie woogie. So I am the American Werewolf from An American Werewolf in New Jersey. So I guess it's not a far leap to assume that my favorite movie monster is the werewolf. But I was telling Patrick before we went on the air that I sort of have a grudge against werewolf movies because the vast majority of them tend to be comedies. And I think it's because werewolf films don't have a character like Dracula to sort of focus around. And for some reason, most werewolf films, for whatever reason, tend to be comedies. I'm not a fan of horror comedies. This is a rare exception. And I really enjoyed this film. And when I heard that I had a slot to pick, this was the first thing that popped into my mind. Can I get some, just what were your initial, and just jump in wherever you want to. What were your initial thoughts on the film? Are you a first-time viewer? Had you seen it before? Whatever. Let's start with Mary. Ladies first.
I've seen a bunch of times. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
It's good fun.
Yeah. It's a fun one. Ben.
I saw it when it first came out, and yeah, it was a ton of fun. I've recommended it to a lot of people. Great ensemble cast, just like everyone in it's really good. The comic delivery is very good as well. And
Yeah.
likable characters too. A few of them,
Patrick.
Yeah, I
Mary,
love.
can you turn that down a little, please?
Yeah.
That feedback, that aquarium feedback is like right in.
Oh, is that what it is? You got miniature jaws. My first impression
The
of
only
this
way I
was
can turn it down is to like leave. So
Okay. So be it. Keep going. Sorry, Patrick.
uh,
the first impression I got with it was I knew that it had been off of a video game. I heard that first of all, but I didn't know anything about the video game. Never heard of it before or anything, so I didn't have any expectations. Um, I watched it and I was so happy you picked it because I thought this movie was a total joy.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch it, and a friend of mine said you should really watch it. And I'm at that point where 9 out of 10 times I can tell if I'm going to enjoy a movie just by looking. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to. This was one of those, 1 out of 10 where, I got it wrong, and just really had a good time with it. I think one of the things that I really liked about it was that there were no standout stars. So there was no one person to like look for to take the lead, so to speak, and everyone did just a bang up job, and it actually was very funny. Like I said, for a person who doesn't like horror comedies, I really enjoyed this. It was just a good time. It starts like it starts with the death of this one unnamed person, and it looks like they're being killed by a werewolf. It's not particularly scary, but it did have a lot of suspense in it. And you've got the main character. His name is Finn, and he's the newest park ranger coming to this town called Beaverfield. And Finn, you can tell right away, it's got great exposition. It sets up right away that Finn is a person who just like has no confidence because he's listening to like one of those self-help things, for like assertiveness, and it's telling him to like repeat the word balls like all the time, and to yell his assertiveness into the car by himself, and you're like, oh man, this guy's a mess. And I hadn't seen the lead character Finn anywhere else. Had you seen him before?
No, Sam Richardson. This is my first time ever seeing him act.
I hadn't seen him before, but as soon as I watched this, the Tomorrow War also came out, and he was in that, and I was like,
Wait.
"Oh, it's the dude from Werewolves Within."
Wait, what was it that you watched?
Tomorrow War.
Oh, that's right. With Chris Pratt.
Yeah, he was in it. He was the, and I saw it like pretty shortly after I saw Werewolves Within, so I was like, "Hey, it's Finn from Werewolves Within."
Okay, I'll have to give that another look. That was a good film.
Yeah,
That was a good film. It was kind of underrated at the time, and I know Chris Pratt's getting a lot of heat right now in a good way for the Tomorrow World. He's got this girlfriend that he doesn't understand has broken up with him. He's just a man. He's kind of a loser, and he's kind of pudgy. And he's got a kind of a doughy face and big eyes. I mean, he's just perfectly cast for like the sort of simp character.
I would say
nowadays.
Yeah, rather than loser, I would say pushover, right? Like the
Pushover, yeah.
Not like the nice guy, not just the guy who's nice, but like the nice guy pushover dude. That's sort of him.
Yeah,
and lack of self-confidence.
Yeah. It's a thin line. It's a thin line with him because he is a nice person. He's a good person, he's a moral person, and he's a nice guy. But yeah, I mean, he has no self-confidence, and he just kind of lets everybody walk all over him. Mary, what did you think of Finn?
Yeah, he's a sweet guy.
Mary,
can you hear me?
Okay, so go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, so yeah, we can. Can you not hear us?
Yes. I didn't know if you could just still hear me there.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. So he comes into the town to, set himself up, and he's staying at like the Beaverfield Inn or something like that, and that's where we meet Cicely. Now, I had never seen this actress before. Apparently, she's sort of famous for doing these AT&T commercials, and she's the new postman. And it's really well written and well performed. They just hit it right off, because I had never seen either of these two people before, and automatically, like the chemistry seemed, really good between them. I could tell that they were sort of, firing on each other, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay, this is a good movie so far. I mean, I've had a little bit of Werewolf in the very beginning, but so far, like, I'm invested in these other characters.
Yeah, I've always seen Lily on commercials.
I've never seen any of those AT&T commercials or anything like that. I didn't know her at all. She's really pretty. So I was like, oh, okay, he's going to meet a new girl here, and, good for him. And, she takes him back to that bar, and, she's like dancing to the Ace of Base song, which was probably the only time in my life I've ever enjoyed an Ace of Base song, for like those 10 seconds that she's in it, and I'm like, wow, she really is good. She made me like Ace of Base for like 10 seconds. Okay. So that's impressive.
And they bond over Walden, right? Poet. Like
they bond over, poetry and, his background and, their background together. And, before she's kind of assertive. She just comes right out and says, can I kiss you? And just when they're about to do it, his pain in the ass ex-girlfriend calls, and he just sort of sips right out of it, and goes to answer the phone, and she's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
And you're just like, Jesus, this guy is just a mess.
Yeah, and you got the impression that's the reason why he even moved around a lot. They just put him whatever they needed. It's like whatever hole there was, they were going to put Finn there, and he wasn't going to say anything at all. He was just going to go ahead and show up. No assertiveness at all.
Yeah,
well, he got reassigned because he sort of got got sort of prodded into doing some illegal shit and then got busted doing it, right?
Right.
So he was forcefully relocated to this small town.
Yeah, it sounded like an innocent enough thing. He was fishing or something in like a protected area, and like his friends, like all people do nowadays, even the illegal shit that they do, they post it on social media. So it's
But you also got the feeling, just based on his personality, that he was the pushover, where they're like, let's go fishing on this thing. He's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. And then he ended up getting in trouble because he didn't put his foot down and say, no, dude, I'm fucking park ranger. I can't be doing
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't fucking be doing that either, that kind of thing. He just, everybody, he just kind of, whatever way the breeze is going, that's the way he gets knocked over. Hold on a second. We got some comments here. We got Alucard in the house saying evening to everybody. And then we got Echo Cero saying hello. So that's always real cool. And then we got Haunted by Horror. I really like this movie, and it has Milana Vanyutrub in it. Yeah, so I had never heard that name. I don't think I've seen her since. It's pretty cool to see an actress that started out doing videos on YouTube in a role like this. Okay, so apparently everybody but me has seen this girl before, and, I'm just out of the fucking loop. Now, one of the things about this movie that I noticed, and it starts out in the very beginning, there's a quote in there, and I didn't write it down, but I should have. It's that no one in this town, no one communicates. Like, nobody listens.
It was a Mr. Rogers quote, right?
Yeah, it's a Mr. Rogers quote about love or something like that, and like listening to your neighbor or something like this. And this is it. It's very ironic because it's a small town, and you're probably only meeting 8 people, but everybody is just at each other's throat. which is usually the exact opposite of a small town, and everybody just kind of shouts at everybody else.
But that's that's common though. Whenever you have a pipeline going through a town, every single time you hear about that, you immediately get that sort of division. You know, they're immediately at each other's throats. There's some for the pipeline, there's some that aren't, and it doesn't matter where it's at. You're always going to get the same reaction that we see in Beaverfield. That rang very, very true.
Well, I've never had any experience with that kind of thing. But you've got to divide in the town because someone is wanting to install a pipeline. And so you've got some people who are very open to the idea, and you get the impression that they're kind of on the poorer side, you know, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I'd like to, you know, have a little extra money and, you know, I'd like to be set for life. And then you get the idea that some of the people that are doing a little bit better are in a position to kind of turn away at it. I mean, was that the impression that you got? Hold on a second. We've got... Hey, David.
Hey, guys.
David.
Can you hear me okay?
Happy Sunday. Yeah, we can hear you fine, man.
Before we get too far forward, though, I wanted to say I really loved the way they started out the movie with that quote, because it was like they fed it to you sort of like dissolve line by line, right? And it was very foreboding music at the very last thing. Mr. Rogers, and it really set the tone for the comedy in the whole movie, I thought.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Mr. Rogers isn't typically someone you would associate with a werewolf film.
Yeah, and just like the music was like, you know, it was like really foreboding music as they're showing this quote, and you're expecting it to be like Edgar Allan Poe or like, I don't know, you know, some like Vlad the Impaler or something, and it's just Mr. Rogers. I thought it was pretty funny.
So, go ahead, please.
It sort of makes you, you know, realize that even the most innocent of all innocent can be used for you know, to shine some dark. You know, it's, you know, I mean, I never equated Mr. Rogers with a you know, a dark tale at all until I saw the quote, and then it just made me laugh.
Yeah, I'm still not exactly sure I associate Mr. Rogers with darkness. It's just more like silly, which is just like the entirety of what this movie is.
Yeah.
But it's extremely well written.
Yeah.
It's extreme. Whoever I'm not sure who the screenwriter is. Patrick, did you give a screenwriting credit for this?
Yes, it was written by Melina Wolf. Mishna Wolf.
Okay. Very well written. A lot of dialogue. I mean, there is some action, but just the dialogue of the neighbors just going back and forth with each other, interspersed with, you know, maybe a few intimate moments here and there. Really, really well done. Not what you're typically associated with. Not what you typically think of when you think of a werewolf movie.
No. You think of action right away, right?
Kind of, yeah. You think of, you know, grisly things and, you know, the moon, and instead they're really just introducing you to like everybody in this neighborhood, and all of them. I'd say the vast majority of them. I'd say maybe with the exception of Cicely and Finn, are really unlikable.
Yeah.
Well, I like how they introduced all the characters. You know, because Cecily took Finn and basically walked him around the whole town, so we got to know every character through their interaction. You know, every character that we were gonna deal with in the movie, we got to meet them all in one slow arc around the town, which I thought was really nice.
Well, we shouldn't forget that she initially introduces him to Mr. Was it Mr. Finn? Flint, who essentially pulls a shotgun out on him just for coming to the front door.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's letting you know right away that this is, you know, this is not a fun place that he's just relocated to, you know, and threatens to shoot him. I don't recognize your government. I don't recognize your job. I don't recognize you. You got to the count of 10 to get off my porch before I kill you, you know? And so, yeah, it kind of lets you know right away that this isn't going to be you know, this isn't like Walton Mountain or something like that, or Little House on the Prairie.
But I will say, you know, Finn says something that resonates with him about Mr. Rogers, and it's, you know,
Yeah, the
and it's sort of like
community.
that's his whole character arc. All of a sudden, he's like a very neighborly dude later on in the film. So.
He's in the first 5 minutes and he's in the last 5 minutes, you know, and he's only in the last 5 minutes because of the first five, which is actually really good writing.
Yeah.
Werewolf films usually do not, and I've talked quite a few werewolf films that usually do not revolve around a great story. They usually revolve around bad effects and bad stories and, you know, bad performances. And that's usually your average werewolf flick. And, you know, someone tries to just keep putting enough Band-Aids on it in the review to try to convince you that it's a good movie. And I'm like, no, it's a piece of shit.
There's been some good ones, though. You know, having said that,
interspersed, there are some decent ones out there, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of substitute teachers out there, man. David, what were your impressions? I mean, you know, of the flick. I mean, just had you seen it before?
I watched it about a month ago. To me, there's a fine line between comedy and horror, and this one kind of skirted the comedy line a little bit too closely for me. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I think you all did.
well, did you enjoy it as a comedy, though?
I enjoyed the comedy aspects, but I was looking for. I like something more along the lines of Evil Dead or Shaun of the Dead. You know, just a little more gore. There wasn't a lot of that in there.
Okay.
It wasn't gory.
All right. So you were looking for a little more gristle in your werewolf flick.
A little more werewolf.
A little more werewolf. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Evil Dead is the furthest extreme of that. You know, and I've covered it on the show, and I'm just like, oh man, like, yeah, the Evil Dead goes too far for me. That's like white noise. And I stopped like understanding what I'm watching anymore, you know, and I'm like, he could have stopped like 20 minutes ago. And I respect what he did, but yeah, okay. All right.
You know what though? It's funny you say that because I think that's the strength of this movie is that they did not go far out. They stayed right in the wheelhouse the whole movie.
Yeah, they did.
It didn't get extreme one way or the other. You know, it wasn't slapstick and it wasn't a gore fest. It was right there, right in the middle.
It felt really like it was more rooted in being a comedy than a horror film. And even like I would say even less than a horror film, was more like a whodunit sort of like mystery, right? Sort of type of situation.
Yeah, it was kind of like Clue.
Yeah,
it was like that old movie Clue with Tim Curry and you know, meets a werewolf film. Something along that. So it was just kind of character driven, but all of the characters are just assholes. And you know, it starts off with Chachi. Chachi gets killed, the little dog. And you know, it just kind of descends from there into, you know, Bedlam. I mean, it's hard to keep track of because that's when everybody really starts to turn on everybody.
Yeah, that dog.
Right.
And then there. Yeah, you're right. I mean, once that dog got killed, the wheel started coming off, didn't it?
Yeah, and the finger pointing starts, and you know, all these lingering resentments that are there. Yeah, I mean, they get barricaded into the town because there's a storm coming. And then they find the innkeeper's husband, Dave, buried under the house. So, I mean, it's just, you know, that's a perfect way to put it. The wheels have just absolutely come off.
The claw marks on the claw marks on every generators. Those are huge. Yeah, those were huge ass hands. I got to tell you that.
Yeah. And everybody's just so damn cold to everybody else. You know, it's supposed to be this sense of community that you typically associate with small towns, but it's not. everybody's just kind of cowardly and in it for themselves. Everybody has their own perspective, and that's just kind of the way that it goes. And, it's funny because we've been talking for 25 minutes about a werewolf film, but we're not talking about any werewolves. And so, Dave's point is interesting. There are no, it sort of comes together at the end because you're having these people disappear here, disappear there, but you're not seeing anything.
Well, except for the doctor. Yeah, the doctor that was doing the experimentation. It was funny because they actually had two people there that had actually suspected what was going on. We had the pipeline owner, the representative. He had been tracking the werewolf, and then the doctor was doing some work, and she also had been looking to see what was going on because there had been several attacks, and they didn't know that each other was actually researching what was going on.
Hold on a second, Mary. Do you mind if I just cut the mic and then you can come back in when you want to say something? Just turn the mic back on. I'm sorry.
It's all right, guys. You guys go ahead.
No. Stay here. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Did I overstep that?
No. No. I mean, so it's just I don't know where she's at in her house. It could have been.
Well, she could come back and just mute until she wants to say something, right?
Yeah. Because I wanted to be sure. And a couple times I cut the mic just to test that it was her, and it was.
Yeah.
And that was like ringing right in my ear. That aquarium. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'll send her a message. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's actually pretty cute.
Mary, you can come back and just mute the mic if you want to say it.
Yeah, I don't think she got the tech part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I could have just shut it from there, and then anytime she wanted to say something, just come in from there, and she'd be able to hear everything.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, then of all things, everybody decides just to have a huge fucking sleepover.
Yeah.
All these people who can't stand each other, and they're just all so fucking annoying. Holy shit. And they're just, pointing and yelling, and, it's like this awful stuff that they're just, all saying to each other, and you're just like, holy shit. I live in a small town. It's usually not like this, but then again, you usually don't have a lot of werewolves and snowed in and, whatever else going on around here. Hold on a second. We got some comments here. We got Hobbs Horror. Good morning. Good morning, Knights. Where are you at, Hobbs, that it's morning? Are you overseas? IFC is an area I am hoping to improve on in my horror game. Well, I guess Patrick's the man to talk to about that one. Right. Also, Jersey, I connected with you. Yes, I thought we were before, but I guess I am slow to the game. Okay. Hold on a second. Who else? Well, I'm trying to get some of these people into the chat. Charles Cochran is here. Okay. What's happening, Charles? Thanks for stopping in. Doomsday's Crypt is here, and he's saying, what's up, everyone? And I guess that's it for about now. So what happens next? Pete gets his fingers bit off.
Yeah, we should talk about the characters because the characters were really important. You had
Go ahead.
The shop owner. You had the shop owner whose husband had died in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Dave.
She owned the hotel and the little shop. And then you had a little homeowner, had a little like a chachi shop, like a little store. She wanted the pipeline.
That was Trish.
And then we had the married gay couple who were tech millionaires. They were there. They were against the pipeline. Then you have Parker, who was the pipeline guy. Then we had the two rednecks who weren't really sure if they were married or if they were brother and sister, or they were brother, sister, and married.
And married, yeah. I would have believed either of them.
I thought they were kind of like some of the funniest. Like they were so over the top that it made me laugh.
Made me laugh too.
Yeah.
They were so obnoxious. Yeah.
I mean, but it was like so like beyond the scope of obnoxious that it was like pushed it into pretty funny comedy territory for me.
Okay.
And then we had the doctor who was she was toasted, and she she wasn't coming out she wasn't interacting with anybody.
Dr. Ellis. Dr.
Yeah,
Ellis.
she was holed up in her room, and but she was collecting all the samples, and then when she collected the one sample and saw that it was, she had actually gotten herself a werewolf, she was like, oh shit. And she wasn't going to open she wasn't going to open her door for anybody. Nobody.
She was like an activist. She was a scientist, but she was an activist. That's like her role in the city was to like protest the pipeline.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons they brought in Finn, wasn't he, to kind of like be a pain in the ass and to be like an obstruction,
right?
To the guy.
Making sure both of them didn't interact too much.
Yeah, kind of, sorta. Oh God, what a film. Yeah, so Dr. Ellis isn't coming out of her room. And then I thought it was interesting for a second when they started to talk about werewolf lore. And, I think Joaquin, one of the gay guys, he starts talking about every seventh child in Argentina is the werewolf or something like that. And you're like, what? Okay. And then somebody else started talking about the Wendigo.
Yeah,
you're right.
This evil spirit that takes over a person and is never satisfied. It just has to keep consuming.
And on the wall there was like a art print of like an old werewolf illustration. I was like, that's not something
that's
you would
right.
have on the wall and you're in.
Yeah. Now I love Wendigo films. There aren't that many of them, and a lot of them aren't that great. But when they get them right, man, has anybody seen Ravenous with Guy Pearce?
Yeah.
And Robert. Oh man, I fucking love that movie. So anytime that there's an opportunity for some sort of Wendigo film, they had one recently, and it's on HBO called Antlers.
Yeah.
It was okay. It kind of fell apart at the end a little bit. I
liked how dark it was, though. I like that it was like
extremely.
I like that they just went dark with it.
Yeah, it was extremely dark. Yeah, and maybe I'll come back and give it another shot because I remember waiting a long time for that to hit.
Yeah.
HBO, and then it finally did, and I wanted to like it so much, and I'm like, fuck, man,
The TV series Hannibal kind of flirted with the whole Wendigo mystique also.
It's funny you should mention. I have to rewatch that like once a year, and I'm currently in the third season, where he and Gillian Anderson are living in Italy. That's just such a fantastic fucking series. That could have been the biggest piece of shit to try to redo Hannibal Lecter, and they just made this amazing fucking series.
I'm always completely shocked that was a fucking network show, man. It's so I don't know. It really pushes the edge there for a network show. It's crazy.
It was graphic.
Yeah.
The fucking writing was fucking pristine.
Dude,
the cast. Yeah. Oh yeah. The art direction and the cinematography was just like on another fucking scale. The casting. Who would have ever thought that and in my opinion, like Mads Mikkelsen is Hannibal Lecter now. It's not even Hopkins because you have a lot more to work with. You've had a lot more over 3 seasons, but Fishburne and that entire Gillian Anderson.
Yeah,
I'll watch anything that Gillian Anderson's in.
Whoever
I'll
played
watch anything Mikkelsen's in.
Who?
I'll watch anything that Mikkelsen's in.
Yeah,
that guy's an amazing actor.
Yeah,
I get hungry watching that show.
I didn't know any of the actors in Werewolves. I mean, I saw them all, and I'm like, I don't recognize any of these actors, and I think that really played into the strength of the film. That they had more of an ensemble cast, more than just a name. And that's actually pretty different for IFC because IFC movies tend to do that. They tend to when they pick up films, they always tend to pick up somebody with a name attached to it. But this is one of the very first films I've seen from IFC that they're all relatively unknowns. I mean, they really were. I mean, yes, we might recognize them from a couple of movies or a TV commercial, but as far as leading the film and carrying the film, this is the first they've done that.
I I recognize faces, but I didn't know any of their names. But I'm like, I know I've seen him in something. I know I've seen her in something, and
I recognize zero, and I thought that's actually one of the things that I enjoyed. And it's a bad comparison, but it reminded me of that movie United '93, where like nobody in the film, so like nobody gets to be the hero, and the terrorist isn't a name star, the passengers aren't named people, and so everybody's just kind of like the every person. And I like that. Kal-El, it was 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
Yeah, the only character I recognized was Finn. He was in that War for Tomorrow, I think, that Amazon movie.
Ben caught that. I'm gonna have to watch that again. All right. Okay.
a similar character too, like a real nice, like likable guy. He's just I think that actor just can do like likable well,
Oh, he's got that face.
Yeah.
You couldn't see him. Like I think there are a couple of scenes where like when he finds the knife and he tries to look sinister for a second. He kind of doesn't pull it off. It's like Santa Claus trying to be sinister. You're like, that's not. This is the second time I've seen it. So I saw it like right before we went on. And
when he turned around and held up the knife, I laughed.
For everybody in the stream, this is currently streaming on Showtime. So if you have Showtime, you can watch it right now. It's on there and, part of your subscription. So if you haven't seen it, please take advantage of it. It's definitely worthwhile. It's 90 minutes. It goes by fast.
Real fast.
The guy with Sam Richardson is not a sinister character. He will not be Hannibal Lecter anytime soon, or anything like that. He's just, he's just too damn jolly looking.
He sort of almost looks like Kenan Thompson's younger brother.
Kinda, yeah. You could see him hosting like Black Jeopardy or something like that. You're like, Jesus Christ! All right. Hold on a second. Is somebody else in there? Okay. So, at the sleepover, the sleepover falls apart. Pete gets his hand bitten off practically, which was a little unrealistic, but it's a fucking werewolf movie, So what are you gonna do? And then the sleepover just falls apart, and I felt bad because Finn tries to give that Mr. Rogers speech about community, and he looks at everybody and, tells them what, one good thing about themselves that, he's experienced in the in the 12 hours that he's been in town. And, I watched it the second time and I had forgotten, and I'm like, wow, that was a really good speech. And then 30 seconds later, like everybody's like, I hope you fucking telling each other, I hope you fucking die. You're like, Jesus Christ, you fucking people. You all deserve to die. And I was glad when like they all fucking died. Holy shit.
It was sad because, as far as he got his hand bitten off, and then they were going there trying to save him, and then they shot him. It's like, okay. That guy's just having a bad day.
Yeah, well, everybody in a small town owns a fucking gun, and they're all fucking cowards, and they all hate each other. So it's like, just a recipe for like nuclear war, man. It's bad. But it's funny. It's like annoying and funny at the same time. Very well written.
Very well.
Trish, she ends up killing Devin, one of the gay guys. She stabs him in the neck with the maple syrup. The maple fucking feeder.
Do you think? I think Parker killed the doctor. They didn't show that, but I think here was 2 shots. He says like she killed herself. I think he helped.
Oh, I think he totally. They made it seem like he just went in there and shot her to death, right? And then like,
he went down the side and. You see him fighting, then you hear the 2 shots, and he comes out. Yeah, she shot herself. It was just like
twice. You never see her body or anything like that.
No.
Parker doesn't come across as he's an oil executive, so nobody in Hollywood's going to write an on it. The last time we got something like that was like Armageddon, with like Bruce Willis or something. So like no oil person is going to be perceived, as some, square dealing sort of person. So he's shady too. Marcus, who else? Marcus buys it.
Yeah, the redneck couple buys it too.
Yeah.
Yep. See, he's standing there, and then he runs over. She runs over her husband.
Marcus, yeah, her husband is
She runs
Marcus,
over
right?
her husband, and then she gets shot in the cab by didn't Trish kill him? Kill her?
Yes,
Yeah, I think so.
she got shot in the head.
Yes.
That whole
Chris-
sequence I thought was pretty fucking funny when he's like taping knives to his hand. It's like the just the brutal honesty that he's like, oh, I was gonna like make it look like a fucking werewolf did this and steal all your shit. It's just the comedy was pretty funny for me. And then when he runs outside, she comes up back like kills him with a truck and then says, "Hey, asshole!" Like, come on. I thought it was pretty fucking funny. But
It was a good example of how absolutely stupid everybody was.
yeah,
They're just morons, like
Yeah.
all of them, whether they're tech, millionaires, or somebody who makes like soap bottle angels or something. They're all just idiots, and yeah, okay.
Did any of you
Oh,
all
God.
suspect that it was Sicily the whole time?
No,
No,
no, never did.
I
I thought it was Finn.
I didn't think it was Finn. I wasn't sure if it was Sicily or maybe it was the doctor that was.
Alice,
Well,
Dr.
Because we didn't see her body.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw it, I believed it was Flint, the trapper guy, the trapper hunter guy, and he was just out there, scurrying around and, killing people here and there. Because it does have this inconsistency where, like, she can take time to kill somebody and then come back, like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, okay, we're usually, I guess she can change back and forth at will or something like that. It's this kind of werewolf,
also like when she does change, she's still fully recognizable as Sicily, right?
Yeah.
So like when she like attacks him and bites his hand off in the hotel, you'd think that he'd be like, oh, it was that hoe, like.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very disappointed when I found out it was Sicily because it was just like this bubbly hot chick, and she's just, kind of jiggling all over the place the whole movie. And then you're like, fuck, man, why did you? And then she like insults Finn, what's fake is that nobody likes your stupid books. And, you're like, Jesus. All right, this is reality. Okay.
Yeah, she totally played him the whole damn movie,
Yeah.
And she mocks him for it too. She says, everything nice that she did for him and they talked about, she turned around and turned it around on him. And he saw that, but she still wasn't all that evil. She's just, a girl's got to eat, and I was bummed too. I mean, I was like, wow, okay. I much rather would have been Finn than her, but it is what it is. And I thought, in a way that actually works, because it's what they say, it's the last person you expect. Like you watch the whole town go to shit. Everybody's grabbing a gun. Everybody's ready to fight everybody. But she wasn't. She never was. She never took a side. She never had a hostile war toward anybody.
And she was brave. She was a really strong female character. I liked her, up until the point where she became the werewolf, because she was afraid, but she was actually, involved in the action, in trying to help. And she reminded me of like much more old school kinds of, strong female characters that we know from like some of the, the old horror and sci-fi classics. She was kind of made of that mode, and so I really like that.
I did too.
From like a writing perspective, the writers sort of make you care about her because there is that bond between her and Finn, right? And then like even when she's sort of like being held at gunpoint and he like sort of like becomes like a hero to save her, then like as a viewer, you're like bonded to those two characters being like, comrades or whatever.
Well, for me, like I wanted them to get together.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be what was going to happen. Like in the first 5 minutes of them being together, you're like, okay, this is going to happen pretty straightforward. And then, it kind of derails when he goes off simping. But then you figure it's going to backtrack back to the end, and it's just going to be those two at the end. That's what I figured. They were going to be the final two, and they were going to defeat Flint. And, they threw me for a fucking loop. So
It was also very funny that the tech billionaire or millionaire dude, like he like takes her, he's like, it's her, she's the seventh fucking unicorn. And then like it turns
Yeah,
out
right.
he was completely right, but
Yeah,
it was,
Joaquin,
He was right. He was
fucking
wrong, but he
Joaquin.
was right.
yeah.
He's like, I like you so fucking much. That's why I have to kill you.
But he was right though. She was the
He was
werewolf.
right.
She was the werewolf.
He
Yeah,
didn't
you should
realize-
listen to Joaquin.
Yeah, he didn't realize how he knew that he was right, but he was. And yeah, that's
Oh, Jesus.
oh my gosh. What a
Yeah.
what a I thought the ending was I thought the final fight was well done too. I mean, you know, she monologued a little bit, you know, they monologued a little bit with each other, and then you know you can slowly see her changing her personality, and then you started seeing toward the end there, you started actually seeing the menace, you know, like she's gonna have enough food there to last, you know, the winter time. She was gonna be fine. You know, she was gonna move on while everybody else was dying. Yeah, she showed a little bit of her inner werewolf there toward the end.
What did you guys think of the creature effects? I thought for me personally, if there was one area where it kind of fell down,
Yeah.
you know, which they were never, you know, focusing on werewolves to begin with. I mean, that kind of wasn't the point of this movie. But I thought though, yeah, it wasn't a great creature. You know, it was a comedic kind of werewolf. You know, it wasn't one that you were supposed to be scared of, or anything like that.
It was like a wolf cop type of werewolf.
Yeah. Okay, David's horror says at one point I thought maybe the B&B owner, yeah, might have been the werewolf. Okay, yeah. Because she was another one who was so nice, and she invites all these people into her house, and they're just shitting on her all night.
Yeah.
And wasn't it her husband that was dead under the?
Yeah, but that didn't stop. They were just so screechy and loud, and I would have just been like, "Get the fuck out of my house," you know, before I shoot you, you know. And yeah, so yeah, that was a possibility too. Okay.
Yeah, the ending where you know, they're doing that last, you know, they always do this, you know, they think they got the bad guy, then he comes back, and then man, she just drills her right dead ass right there in the heart. I mean, dead ass. So it was a good shot. Made me laugh.
With that crossbow, yeah.
Oh,
Ben, were you going to say something?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I did think it was hilarious when when Finn, he thought he killed her the first time. He's just laying there. He's just like, what? For some reason, that just made me laugh really hard. I don't know why.
Hey, doesn't he say like "gosh golly" or something like he doesn't even curse?
Yeah.
He's so nice. I love how he comes to that at the end, and he's like, you know what? I'm just a nice person.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
I
just
don't have a
cussing.
problem
I'm
with
just
being a
fucking-
nice person.
Right. I'm just a fucking nice guy, and there's nothing fucking wrong with it, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. You know, if he just, you know, and I think he arrives at that point where he stops just being a pushover. I think. Do you think that he got past it, or I think he did?
I did too.
I think he got over the pushover part, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you can be a nice person and not be like a pushover, and
Yeah.
that's where he ended up. You know, just like he's just a nice, good-hearted dude who wants
He's a good
to
person.
do nice things for good people and have them do nice things for him. Right?
Yeah,
That's like his whole jam, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, that's not a negative.
Yeah.
You know,
What's that line go? People mistake my kindness for weakness.
Yeah. Well, in his case, he was weak, but I think that, you know, by the time we get to the end of the movie, especially after having to deal with Sicily,
Well, I also think in general, there's like this concept that a lot of people have that's like nice guys finish last, but it's not the nice guys that finish last. It's the pushovers that fucking finish last. You know, you can be nice and assertive and confident and do your shit, you know, like, but yeah, if you're a pushover, then people will walk all over you.
yeah, even in a small town.
Yeah.
Even in a small town.
We're still in a small town.
Well, that's what they say. If you put 5 people, I think the number is 5. If you put 5 people in a room together, hierarchies are going to start to form. You know, just as small a number as that, but they're going to start to, you know,
Yeah,
Everyone
look at
starts
the
to
look
pair
at the
off.
look at the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're going to remake that. What the fuck?
Really?
They really?
Yeah, they're going to remake it. They're going to reboot it. There's going to be a brand new breakfast. It's coming soon. It's coming. I don't know if it's going to be. It's probably one of those direct to streaming, fucking things, and because nobody will have seen the original that's going to watch this. Because I don't think anybody who knows the original is going to,
I heard it's going to be an all-female cast. Woke as shit.
I'm sure.
God.
Probably.
I mean, listen, we associate Breakfast Club with that specific ensemble cast because we grew up with that shit. But I mean, that story's there to be told to the next generation. It doesn't have the same connection to
Right. I don't mind having a diverse cast because that's more realistic for what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to have 5 girls in there, no, thank you.
I was kidding about that, by the way.
Oh. No, I was like, I hope they have a diverse cast because that would be more true to form. I mean, I thought they treated every character type in this movie as pretty well. There was no, even though they played stereotypes, but they didn't really. Their characters were stereotypes, but the actors did not play them like stereotypes.
I thought every actor in this pulled off their comedic elements of their characters super well.
Yeah.
I thought it as an ensemble cast of people that I wasn't super duper familiar with, I thought they all did an excellent job.
Yeah, what would a grandmotherly innkeeper be like? How would you turn that into comedy? What would 2 gay guys, a gay married couple be like from a comedic value? What would some pushover, pudgy ranger be like? Or the perhaps, ever so slightly bimbo-ish, kind of, girl, be like, these sorts of things. So, yeah, I mean, that's good performances. That's not even necessarily good writing, but, their interpretation and how they brought it to the screen, it's worthwhile. And the final scene at the end, which I think was the turning point, where I can't remember her name from the Beaverfield Inn. She's like, make your own damn sandwich.
Yeah.
She's another one who's a pushover.
Yeah.
And she's just like, make your own damn sandwich.
Well,
enough is enough.
Before we even get to that, Finn's in big trouble. He's about to get murdered by a werewolf. And the boy from the beginning shows up, right? And he's like, I really like what you said about Mr. Made a big just that one little his sort of character arc happened completely behind the scenes in such an extreme way that it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. He actually wants to.
The super isolationist, anti-government, anti-everyone, fuck you, get off my land guy to being the super good bro neighbor dude, and it was pretty fucking funny. Basically.
Who he reminded me of? And this isn't a comedy at all, but in terms of a horror movie, he reminded me of Mark Boone Jr. From 30 Days of Night. Remember the guy that he gets the ticket because he lives way out in the outskirts of town, and he just, it's Barrow, Alaska, so it's already isolated as fuck. But this guy's taking it to another degree by just, he only drives through, and Josh Hartnett, as the sheriff, gives him that ticket in the beginning of the movie to remind. He's like, I give it to him to remind him he's still part of this community. Yeah. He doesn't get to detach that much, and not that kind of thing. He's still, he still has to answer to things. He reminded me of that a little bit, but only in the comedic way. So it's a good movie.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Thank you. I do not own a copy. I have ordered a copy. I got a used copy coming from Amazon. Should be here in a few days. Yeah, it's going to look a lot like that. I believe in physical media, and I like to give used copies of things a home, whether it be books or movies or whatever. For you other two, will this be something you'll be? I guess, David, you're not going to add this to your physical collection.
I own it digitally. I probably won't pick it up physically.
Okay, that's fair. Ben?
I will. I've been looking for it on MediaBook because nowadays I like to try to get I don't know, more deluxe releases, but if I can't find it on MediaBook, I'll get the Blu-ray.
Okay. All right.
Charles mentioned he got the Blu-ray. Charles mentioned he got the Blu-ray copy, so I'll be keeping my eye out for Blu-ray copy so I can upgrade.
Do you guys not do it? Do you guys not do Amazon? Do you go through other sites? Is that because I just like I'll pick up Amazon, but like if I can, I'll find a used copy, which is often like a library or a Goodwill or something like that. And
That's generally where I get all my stuff at, Mike. I always get it at the library. Sometimes Amazon, if it's there. I mean, I picked up a few movies from Amazon. They got good prices.
Yeah, they do.
It seems like their prices started going up a little bit, though. I noticed that a little bit. Some of the movies have been out for a while. Also, instead of being like $6 or $7, now they're starting to ring up for $9 to $10.
Well, that's inflation everywhere, probably due to gas prices. For the delivery cars that have to go out there to drive everybody to get them. But right now they've got some pretty good sales where they're knocking about 60% off of most things. And I just picked up a copy of Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future on Blu-ray. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm really looking forward to it. I forget what the price was, but it was like $12 or something like that, brand new on Blu-ray. So I'm like, fuck yeah, okay.
It's not bad at all.
Charles Cochran says, I had enough money, so I bought it new from Amazon. Okay. Yeah.
I kind of don't fuck around either. It's like gas prices. They're expensive, but you need to put gas in your tank, so you're going to put gas in your fucking tank. That's sort of like, I'm going to buy this Blu-ray, so I'm going to just, that's my approach.
I don't remember, actually. I got to see. I may have bought this on DVD because for me, in my thinking, it wasn't a movie that I necessarily needed to see in Blu-ray. Did I get it? What did I get here? Hold on. Did I get it in?
I do know that I'll be looking for everybody's back, their catalog, their library. I like to see Sam Richardson and some other things, and Milana Vinchab and other things as well.
Yeah, I'll have to look for them. No, I got a DVD. I got it for $6. They got $11.99 is on DVD right now, brand new on Amazon. They have used ones at $7, and then the Blu-rays right now are $14.99, and I think they got used ones for $9.50. All right, just FYI. All right. So, don't you, Patrick? Do you do something where you rate the movie?
Yeah, I guess we can rank it, 1 to 10. See what you guys think, you're a host. So what would you rate this movie?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. What would you rate it on 1 to 10?
Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7. It's a respectful 7. It's extremely well written. It has funny aspects. Watching it the second time, I noticed how annoying everybody was instead of how funny everybody was. And I thought that was a good thing because, I'm watching a movie a second time and I'm seeing it from a completely different perspective. But like Dave said, there's very little horror in it.
Right.
And my werewolf movie, the werewolf, I'm the American Werewolf. So werewolves are my favorite movie monster. I would have liked to seen a werewolf.
I think that's probably budget concerns.
Yeah. And I get it. And they did a fantastic job for what they produced. I mean, I'm not making movies, so, but on those points, I'd probably knock it down. If you go to the GOAT, let's say we just go to the GOAT, like American Werewolf, that's a comedy. It's a horror comedy. Yeah. But it has some suspenseful as fuck scenes in there.
It does.
Where like that guy's in the train, where he's in the tube, or when they're out on the moors. And, that's why it becomes, the GOAT. It misses that and instead goes for something else, which is good. But yeah, I need some werewolf. Like Dave said, I need some werewolf in my werewolf movie.
You want to have more bite in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even in films like Silver Bullet, you don't see the werewolf a lot, but you get to see him, kind of dispersed throughout the movie.
Yeah. I mean, when you do see the werewolf in that movie, he's not super fancy looking.
No, he's not. I mean, he's at least
fire that man, whoever it was that did that. Yeah, it's funny because Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave.
He was more than what Sicily was, though. I mean, he was at least a werewolf.
Yeah, he was a werewolf, and that's a fantastic. It's an illustrated novella, Cycle of the Werewolf. That's a great story.
The scariest part of that movie is when the preacher is sort of turning into a werewolf, right? When he shoots him with the thing, and at that point he still looks like the preacher and sort of partially werewolf, right? So like, you know, in that respect, it's very Sicily-esque.
That was that weird phase, you know, because King started off going like right out of the bat, boom, De Palma with Carrie, and then boom, he goes to Tobe Hooper for Salem's Lot, and then boom, he goes to Kubrick for The Shining, and then boom, he goes to Cronenberg for The Dead Zone, and then somewhere, I don't know if this was his I'm impaired for a decade phase. You know, we start to get like Silver Bullet, and we start to get like Children of the Corn, and we start to get like Maximum Overdrive, which, you know, have their place. But, you know, if you're working, you know, 4 A-list actors in a row, you know, hitting grand slams, you're like, wait, how the fuck did we end up here? You know, but it's Gary Busey. So,
what would you rate this movie, David?
I'd give it a 6.5. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but I'd like more. I would have liked to have seen more werewolf than what we got.
Yeah.
Did it hurt you to say 6.5? It looked like it did.
I was going to go 6, but I thought I'll give it I'll bump it up. I need to watch it again. I've only watched it the one time, and you pointed out that, you know, the second time you were able to pick up on a little more of the quirks of the people in the town. So
yeah, characterization. Yeah.
I gave it an 8. I thought the writing was well. I thought the chemistry was really well. Can't give it more than that because, yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to show they have to show the creature a little bit better. I know it was a budget, but I will have to say this, that in hindsight, at least they show the werewolf a hell of a lot more than they did in Pyewacket. Pyewacket, they didn't show shit at all. Terrible. You can't show a creature at all. You lose me. I mean, I thought the transformation was fine. You know, I like how she played her werewolf. You know, her werewolf was salty. You know, it wasn't just a mindless, you know, roar and all that. It's just like she was still talking and still, you know, conversing with them as she was changing. And I thought that was really interesting. But as far as the cast go, that's what gives it in the smart writing. That's what gives it to me an 8.
All right. Ben, did you give your?
I didn't rate it, but I would go 7.5 to 8. For me, it didn't even even need to be about werewolves. You know what I mean? Like when I was watching it, like all the way up through the first and second act, I was like, I didn't even care if there was a werewolf or not. So like my expectations for being like this awesome like werewolf and a bunch of gore and stuff was just not there. I was appreciating the sort of general writing and that ensemble cast, and I thought it was a super fun movie. So yeah, I put it up 7.5, 8. You know, I'd totally recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ben. No, I apologize. Go ahead.
I was going to say for me, like, I know if you go in with expectations of it being like this, like, you know, werewolf movie, then you might, you know, be disappointed. But you know, it felt like to me in the very beginning, like, okay, well, this might not even have a werewolf at all. You know what I mean? So like, I had sort of like pushed that expectation completely out of my mind.
Okay. Hold on a second. David's Horror has a question here. Is American Werewolf in London the GOAT? It's a good question.
Is it?
It's not my favorite.
It's not mine either.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it might be the greatest of all time, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do we differentiate between our personal favorites and what's the GOAT? Or is your favorite the GOAT for you individually?
I like American Werewolf in London. I like it quite a bit. You know, I mean, as far as my first werewolf movie I would pick, I know if I had to do a top 10 of Desert Island, I know it would make it. I know this movie would make it. I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
I really did. I thought it was, it's a nice, refreshing addition to the werewolf, to the werewolf genre.
Okay.
Most of the time it's so doom and gloom, a lot of times, even though when they're playing for comedy. But that's the only thing I said before. I think the reason why a lot of werewolf movies get played for horror comedies is the fact that there's no happy ending. You got to put some humor into it, because if you didn't, it's just going to be 100% dark from the get go. So I think you have to. I think filmmakers feel like they have to force in humor because of the subject matter. So people can enjoy it a little bit more. But I actually enjoyed American Werewolf in Paris too. I thought that was fun.
Some of the greatest werewolf effects I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah.
The effects weren't great, but I the story wasn't terrible. It's, again, you're comparing it to the American Werewolf in London, so of course it's going to pale in comparison. But if you just look at it as like, if you compare it to Silver Bullet, maybe it's fun.
All right, so well, just real quick. I mean, what's your favorite?
Me, I know you don't like this movie for some reason, but
Howling. Oh.
Yeah. Howling for me has, I like the sort of general ambiance better of that wooded Northern California area. And I like the fact that it deals with pack mentality of a pack animal. And I think the transformation, though better executed in American Werewolf in London, I think it's much more sinister in the Howling, and I appreciate that because it scared me a lot more as a kid.
When I did my review of the Howling, that was the one thing. That was the one good thing I had to say about it. The transformation is grotesque. It's completely different. So I
was a big Werewolf London transformation scene too. It's great with the music playing and everything else. Then I saw the transformation in the Howling. Oh yeah, that was like, damn, that's it right there.
I wasn't a fan of the final creature, but the transformation itself was very impressive.
I really like the as far as actual creature design, I like a bipedal werewolf more, and I thought the Howling one looked great.
Dog Soldiers has a great werewolf too.
Dog Soldiers has a pretty good werewolf.
Yeah, Dog Soldiers. Yeah, that's a good one. One of the it's not the GOAT, or it's not even my favorite. I don't even know what my favorite werewolf movie is. It might go back to the old Universals, but the third Ginger Snaps movie, with the one where they're barricaded in the soldier fort in colonial times. Ginger Snaps back, the beginning. Oh dear God, that's a great movie. I love that movie.
I love the first Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, I've got them all. I've got them all. That first one where they're in high school.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good movie.
That's a movie, like, I remember seeing it at Blockbuster, and I was like, this looks like some softcore porn bullshit that I'm not really interested in. Like, I'd rather just watch regular porn and rent an awesome werewolf movie.
Yeah.
But I never watched it, but I caught it on on cable, and I was like, this is so much different than I thought it was going to be, based on sort of like the title and the packaging. And I really had underestimated it before I saw it. And when I saw it, I was like, it was very quirky. The comedy in it is like not slapsticky or anything, but I thought it was really well done. I love it.
It's a black comedy.
Yeah. It's like it would be in my top 5 werewolf movies, probably,
Okay. All right, fair enough. And you said you like that one, the Joe Johnston?
The Anthony Hopkins and
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I wanted to like it. It's like Stoker's Dracula. I want to like it. I own it on Blu-ray. Just like I own Stoker's Dracula on Blu-ray. And I would have this thing where, like, every 6 months I would try to watch it and said, this is the time I'm going to like it. I'm going to find it this time. And it hasn't happened.
I think the werewolf movie I like this. I know it's not the GOAT, but as far as me enjoying watching it, by far, this is my favorite one, is Van Helsing. That final fight between him and Dracula, I absolutely loved it.
Talk about amazing werewolf effects. Woo.
That was that was the one we brought up for Guilty Pleasures. I used it as an example.
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah. That is a fun movie from the guy who made The Mummy. Okay. All right. Is there anything that we have not addressed that's...
David is hosting next month on September 26th.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we'll be watching The Wretched from 2019.
Now that sounds upbeat. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're back down. We're back down in the bog. Okay. All right. Sounds good. I'll be there.
And then Ben will get us for October.
Oh,
So
Halloween month.
Ben's bringing the party for Halloween.
Have you already decided?
What is that Sunday? Is it on? If Halloween's on an actual Sunday, I don't know if we can do the stream that day because
I think it's on a Monday, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's the 30th.
No, yeah, 30th. It's the 30th. It's the last Sunday, so you're good to go.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that anybody wants to plug coming up?
Midnight Society tonight at 8:00. We are covering the House by the Cemetery.
Ooh,
that'll be 8:00 on Al Lecard's channel. We'll be over there and talking about that at 8:00. And Gory B Movie will be after that on her channel, and she's doing her monster battle. So I gotta hype her up too, since she's on a Sunday with us.
All right, sounds good. Ben, you got anything coming up you wanna plug?
No, check me on Instagram. Yeah, check out Ben Learns to Sing on Instagram.
Okay. All right. David, anything? Anything upcoming?
Just the Coast to Coast crew on Saturday nights from 9:30 to 1 o'clock.
All right, I'll have to check out your channel. It's good to meet you. It's the first time we've met, so yeah, it's been good being on the stream with you and talking. So look forward to getting back at it again. For me, thank you for doing this, Patrick. So I've had the opportunity to meet people. For me this week, the Summer of Crime. I've been working on crime thrillers all summer. So this being the last weekend of summer, technically, Labor Day weekend is coming up this coming weekend. We're going to wrap it up with what we couldn't do last week on Tuesday night. We'll be there with the Boondock Saints. Which is just an extremely fun movie to discuss. And that guy, Troy Duffy, is just a train wreck. So, that'll be interesting to get into. And I think his documentary is on Tubi, so I might watch that in advance.
Have you seen it yet?
I already know the story. I mean, I'm old enough, so like I go back that far. So I kind of sort of know it, but, not all the specs. I'm not sure if I want to. It seems really bleak.
The documentary it's a good documentary. It's worth watching.
It's a perfect example of crashing and burning. I mean, holy shit.
Sabotaging yourself, yeah.
Yeah, he could have had everything, and he just, And then we're going to finally wrap up with the final Summer of Crime movie on Wednesday. We're going to look at Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker. So that's going to be an interesting film to discuss before we start getting back into the fall and the usual sci-fi horror. So that's it for us. My thanks once again for putting this together, Patrick from the IFC MidKnights, David from David's Horror, who I got a chance to meet today. So we'll chat again sometime, I hope. And Ben from Cadaver Club. And I'll message you, and maybe we can all do a collab on the regular Werewolf show. All right, I guess that's it for now, everybody. Patrick will be back in a little less than an hour with his show.